Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No.
I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Thursday morning. Welcome to Hot Mic on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV in Sioux Falls, KNBN out in western South Dakota, and streaming on Inforum.com. Happy Thursday, everybody. It is the, 13th day of August already in the year 2026. Can you believe that? We're cooking here as football season's right around the corner. The weekend's also right around the corner, just a couple of more days away. Looking forward to that. Got a couple of big things planned over the weekend, so I'm excited. Good morning, everyone. Sam Getzinger filling in for Dom today. Dom will be back with us tomorrow. Looking forward to tomorrow's program as we get ready for a busy weekend in the world of sports. Packed Thursday today, that's for sure, after a somewhat calm, I would call it a calm-ish Wednesday in the early middle part of August. Nothing too crazy happening last night. Of course, the NFL is back tonight. Colts play tonight. I'm excited. They got the New England Patriots. I know it's preseason. I don't care. I get to see the Colts tonight. AR's getting the start. That's going to be something. Also get our first look at the Packers tonight. Eric's excited for that, I imagine. A lot to look forward to with the Packers this season ahead of Week 1 against the Vikings. Lions play tonight as well, plus a slew of others. We'll give you the rundown of the NFL schedule and the first official preseason week, night, I should say, of the year. I'm not counting the Hall of Fame game, even though that was awesome. So excited for what's to come. The football season's here. As you probably could imagine, it is a football-filled Thursday today. We are just 16 days away from kickoff of North Dakota State football and their season opener against Jacksonville State. That is coming up quick. Holy cow. Of course, high school football in the state of North Dakota is rolling. It's in full swing. Practices are underway. We'll preview one of the area teams coming up later on this morning. Minnesota high school football, that starts next week as well. And, of course, can't forget about the Minnesota Vikings. They start their preseason on Saturday against the New York Giants, a noon start for that. So a lot happening with the Vikings, and we're going to touch on that here in just a moment. Of course, we're a couple of days removed from Kevin O'Connell and the staff with Minnesota naming Kyler Murray the starting quarterback for this upcoming season. Not a shock. Is discussed on this show yesterday at length with Dom and Drew and a couple of others. Not surprising that Kyler won the role. You knew that when Kyler was brought in, and I'm not shattering earth here, that it was his job to lose. And after what I deemed to be a pretty aggressive pillow fight over the last couple of weeks, Kyler was officially announced the starter for the upcoming season. If you were tuned in to yesterday's show with Dom, you heard him mention now all the questions fall on J.J. McCarthy and what his future looks like moving forward in a purple uniform with Minnesota as he heads into his third year as a quarterback in the National Football League. Yesterday, as we start our show, J.J. spoke to the media for the first time following that decision, got his reaction, and also yesterday, Carson Wentz, who has some questions about what his future is going to look like, spoke to the media as well. He is now the quote-unquote number 3 guy with the Minnesota Vikings. So they both spoke to the media yesterday. This is what they had to say on their reaction to the news and their thought process moving forward as preseason starts in a couple of days.
You know, decision was made that was out of my control, and obviously every competitor wants to play. But moving forward, it's just about continuing to work hard and just staying ready for when my number's called.
What were your initial thoughts when you found out the decision had been made?
Obviously disappointed. You know, I'm a competitor, but at the end of the day, you know, it's in the past, and I'm moving on to the next practice, the next rep, the same mindset I had going into it, and focusing on the Giants this week.
JJ, why do you say it was out of your control?
And there's so many things out of our control, like the heat today, and you know, it's just really having the discernment to figure out which of the two. And you know, that was one of the things outside of my control, and me attacking and optimizing every opportunity which was in my control, and that's all I was focused on.
During that 2-week stretch and then also into the offseason as well.
I'm really proud of my development. You know, I feel like I've grown in so many different areas, and it's going to just continue to do that, and I'm going to keep my head down and keep working.
Do you think you have a future with the Vikings as a starter?
Like I said before, you know, this is a place I want to be, and I love every single person in this building. I love this state. I love the fan base, and I'm going to continue to just do whatever I can for this team and this organization.
What was the message when you and Kevin talked about it yesterday morning? Message from him?
I'd like to keep it private, but, you know, he was just telling me about the plan moving forward, and, you know, continuing to attack every day was my response, and nothing changes for me, just doing whatever I can for the team.
JJ, how much did that news motivate you as a player personally to get better and to be ready when your moment is called next?
You know, there's a lot of things that motivate me, but, you know, nothing's going to take away that internal drive. Regardless of circumstances externally, I'm going to focus on getting 1%, 2% better every single day. And this is just, you know, a speed bump, and going out there every day and attacking it the same way is all I'm focused on.
How much do things ramp up now in your front? I mean, it looked like yesterday you received a few more reps than previous practices.
Yeah, I have no idea. I have no idea. I do what I'm told, and I'm ready to roll whenever I'm called upon. So I'm excited for these guys.
I mean, look at your role. I mean, is it goofy in that respect? I mean, you're probably not used to not receiving that many
I'm not
reps.
going to lie, it's different. It's been a different camp for me personally, but I'm as locked in as I can be, and whether it's 2 reps or 25 reps or, you know, starting a game or standing on the sideline, you know, I'll be ready. I'm confident in that. I'm confident in this team, and really seeing Coach O'Connell now through the whole offseason and seeing his football philosophy and just really diving into the playbook. I'm excited for it.
How high is the excitement level for Kyler now that he's officially the #1 quarterback?
Yeah, I think everyone's excited. You know, I think everyone's had a lot of respect for him. I've had a lot of respect for him from afar. I mean, just his playmaking ability and all the things over the years. Competed against him many times. So excited to see kind of what he can do and continue to build his relationship with these guys and dive into this offense.
All right, a couple of things to take away there. You heard from J.J. McCarthy. He expressed his desire to stay in Minnesota, saying that it's the place where he wants to be. Obviously, you can tell he's frustrated. He's disappointed with the decision, but no earth-shattering answers in that interview, in my opinion. He's going to say the political things, that he's going to stay prepared. He's going to be ready when his name is called, next man up mentality, all that jazz. You knew he was going to say that. Little surprise. I understand where he's coming from, where he says it was out of his control when speaking in terms of making the starting quarterback decision. I understand where he's coming from there, and what he's saying, that what was in his control was capitalizing on the opportunities that he had. But in the most part, I don't think really either guy, from what I saw at Vikings full camp, really gave A-plus efforts. I think it was fairly neck and neck. What was in his control was to take it by the reins and ride it into the sunset, and he just did not do that. Now, moving forward, as we mentioned, the big question is what's going to happen with J.J. McCarthy moving forward. To me, will the team put a trade together and try to pick up J.J.? Would the Vikings entertain that opportunity? Possibly. What do the Vikings get if they go that route? I know we've discussed it throughout the week. Trey Lance is, when he got traded, there wasn't much given. Now, I know things did not go smoothly at the start of Trey Lance's NFL career, and at least it hasn't so far, and still a fairly young guy. But what does a guy like J.J. get? I got to imagine the Vikings aren't going to give him up for just absolutely nothing and move on with their day. Does Minnesota stick it out with J.J., considering that Murray is signed for 1 year, and we'll see what he does in that 1 year? McCarthy is signed through 2027, got a fifth-year option through 2028. Is that going to happen? Most likely no, but I definitely can see J.J. sticking around for the year, and the Vikings wanting to keep him around, despite bringing in Kyler Murray and winning this quarterback battle that let's be honest, wasn't really a quarterback battle, even though it was advertised that way by everybody on the outside, ourselves included. I think they keep him around because I do believe firmly that the leash is – there's some slack on the leash for Kyler Murray, but it's a little taut in the same sense as well. I don't think it's – all right, Kyler, here you go. Whatever happens, happens. I think there is a point potentially where if things go south, obviously that JJ is going to hop back into the mix and show what he can do in a Minnesota Vikings uniform. I'm not saying that this is, like he said, a minor speed bump in the career of J.J. McCarthy, and he's going to bounce back and he's going to become the savior of the Minnesota Vikings in the future. I don't think that's the case. I think it's a little bit more significant than just a minor speed bump, but in the same sense, I'm also saying I think he'll play a little bit this year, but in the long term, a successful NFL career for J.J. McCarthy is probably not going to come with the Minnesota Vikings. It's most likely going to come elsewhere. Now, granted, we can't put the stamp of 100% that's officially true without seeing how the year plays out at the beginning of the season, and you can say that for every single football team. It all depends on what Kyler's going to do, and if he messes up or if he goes down with an injury, what is JJ going to do? Is he going to come back and really make a name for himself? I don't know. Dom yesterday compared what JJ's dealing with right now to guys like Trey Lance and Anthony Richardson. I don't know. I think that's a little early in the pro career to lump. Maybe for Trey the ship has sailed. You hope not. Would love to see Trey again, but for guys like Anthony Richardson and J.J. McCarthy, maybe it's the optimism in me. I think it's a little early to call it, well, they're busts. Their NFL careers are over. JJ's only 23. Anthony Richardson's only 24. I still think there's a little bit of quarterback pizzazz still in them. And I never thought I would come in here and start defending guys like Anthony Richardson and J.J. McCarthy, but I think it's a little early to put the stamp of disapproval on those two guys. We've seen it across the league where other instances on the flip side of top drafted talent not work out, we've seen top drafted talent not work out at the start and then bounce back. Baker Mayfield being one of them. Now he's a very successful quarterback in the NFL. Can't tell me Sam Darnold had a smooth start to his NFL career. Now it's finally coming around. I think things definitely heal with time. I'm at least hoping that it does for guys like J.J. McCarthy and Anthony Richardson because, let's be honest, you don't want to see anybody crash and burn in their NFL career, especially at the early age of early 20s. But also in the same breath, in this day and age, there's not a lot of grace period for young quarterbacks in the NFL. Things move quickly, and if you are not firing on all cylinders early in this day and age, the next thing's going to come in and take your spot. And that next thing at this point is Kyler Murray moving forward. We also heard from Carson Wentz there, former North Dakota State quarterback, who's made a couple stops in the NFL and now is with the Minnesota Vikings. Slated as of right now, as of today, slated as the number 3 guy. We'll see where that's going to come as the preseason continues. Maybe number 2, depending on how things go, depending on if JJ's going to stick around or not, and depending on if Kevin O'Connell decides he wants a more veteran leadership start to this quarterback room. I don't know. Wentz is no longer a starter in the NFL. I think that is clear. 33 years old, dealing with some injuries now. We've seen him at the prime of his career, and I think he's a solid backup. Dom mentioned on the show yesterday, and I don't just want to hop in his chair and contradict everything he said, but I'm going to slightly do that. He said yesterday that he doesn't think Carson Wentz is a number 3 guy. He's a number 2 guy on NFL teams. I don't know about that. I lean in the other conversation of that. given his age, given where he's at right now in his NFL career, I think he's closer to a number 3 guy. I think it makes sense with him behind Kyler and JJ for a year, and then it's Carson Wentz. I think he's closer to that than he's closer to being a number 2, one play away from being a quarterback that can bump in and save the season for the Minnesota Vikings. That is just my opinion on that. Again, time will tell. The next couple of weeks are going to be crucial when it comes to preseason games and when it comes to joint practices as well. Preseason's going to be very interesting on Saturday with the New York Giants coming up this weekend. Who's going to play? How many reps are guys going to get? Is it a show-off period for guys like J.J. McCarthy, like it is for Anthony Richardson? I know I'm dragging my Colts back into this conversation, and we'll potentially touch on them more later on this morning. Is it a show-off period to show that he's still got it? Other teams, hey, you want a quarterback? We got this young guy. I don't know. I just think at this point with the Vikings, with what has happened with Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold, veteran guys. You know KOC loves veteran guys, wants to try it again with Kyler and hopefully find the right answers and not mess it up. If he has a great year, sign him, keep him around. We'll see how it goes. Eric's back there. Eric, you got a question on the quarterback saga with the Vikings? What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm a Packer fan, and I hope the Vikings quarterback situation keeps going the way it's going. But as a Viking fan, and I know you're not one, so you and I can play armchair coach, as we love to do with fantasy football coming up too. It's kind of perfect. But would you rather have J.J. McCarthy as your backup or Carson Wentz, who can probably come in, play a few games, and play well and keep your team above water, where J.J. you just don't know what you're going to get?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I think from a youthful standpoint and a guy who's, I would say, probably closer to his prime. We haven't hit JJ's prime yet. I think we've hit Carson's. That's gone. I would lean more towards JJ, and I get what you're saying. There is more of the unknown when it comes to JJ stepping in. What are we going to get? Are we going to get the guy in the fourth quarter of the Bears last season, or are we going to get the guy that's sporadic and who knows? He's a young quarterback and he's frustrated now. But also that could be a positive. Does he want to prove himself? Just on the Carson deal, I don't know. I really don't know if I want to. I'm traumatized as a Colts fan because I've seen what Carson could do, and I know things weren't pretty. He had spurts with the Vikings before the injury happened. I think they slammed the door on him after last season, if I remember correctly. I would lean towards JJ, and I never thought I would say that, but that's kind of where I'm pointing to right now. I think the upside's just a little bit more there, if you will, and with Carson, I think the clock is ticking and running out. I think there's no doubt Carson can come in and save a couple of games, but I guess it depends on which point in the season we're at. You see the schedule here. If it's early enough and Kyler's tanking, or if he gets injured, probably want a younger guy that can last you throughout the rest of the season. Does Carson have a full season left in him? That's the questions that we'll have answered as the season goes on.
Well, if you're let's just say it's week. Like you're coming off the Mexico City game against the Niners.
Yep.
Kyler's got experience playing them, and they play tough. They play injuries happen. Let's say he gets hurt and he's got to miss 2 weeks. Then the Falcons and the Panthers, you're probably like, yeah, we could roll with JJ then, because those two teams aren't great. It's the NFC South; they're bad.
Right.
And then you got New England coming off a short week, so maybe you all right. We're going to take an L there on a Thursday night because you got to go to Foxborough.
Mm-hmm.
And then you give Kyler 10 days rest to come back. But if it's early in the season and you're playing like the 9th, the 15th, and then the 22nd, and you're playing like the Packers, the Bills, the Niners, you probably want Carson because you want that experience because those are three.
That's fair.
Solid. Those are three playoff teams, even going the week prior to the Lions.
Right, that's fair.
The Colts, who knows what you're going to get with the Colts? Sorry, Sam.
Well, I mean, it's true.
But,
it's a good, I think it will be solid when we get to that point on the.
And how good is your defense this year? How good is the Vikings defense with Brian Flores back?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you lost Harrison Smith. Well, we don't know what's going on with there. Maybe we can find out later in the show about that.
He's making a little bit of waves in the safety position with a couple of guys, but go on.
But I mean, early in the season, okay, we probably roll with Carson to keep it going. But later in the year, you might roll with JJ.
I mean, do you really want to roll with 3 guys alternate? I know we're putting the horse well before the cart.
And to be clear, I hope injuries don't happen.
Right, but
we all want to see a team play at full
ahead
strength.
at that point. We're just planning ahead.
Yeah.
Let's hope it doesn't get to the point where 3 quarterbacks are ripping through the Vikings roster throughout the season.
Didn't they play 4 a year ago when the Pastronaut came in?
Yeah. Dobbs
and Cousins and
yeah. You got
whoever else.
Brosmer played a little bit last year as well. There's it's unknown. This whole saga is not close to finish, despite Kyler Murray being announced the starter. We will have to see. Best case scenario, Kyler comes in, sets the world on fire, is comeback player of the year, if you will, and has a phenomenal season, and the Vikings may have their guy for this year and maybe the next. That's the best case scenario. Is that going to happen? Let's be real. It's Minnesota sports. I don't believe so, but I don't know. We're going to touch on this later on the show. Our guy Alec Ausmus from KSTP, who's been out at Vikings training camp, is going to join us later on this morning. That's actually a fitting segue to our guest lineup, as we got to get to a break here to start the show this morning. Our guest lineup brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. More on the Vikings topic with Alec Ausmus at 10 o'clock, plus a couple other things I want to touch on with Minnesota sports with him. Coming up in a couple of minutes at 9:35, we'll take a trip over to Central Cass and get the lowdown on Squirrels football for this upcoming season with their head coach Tommy Butler joining us at the bottom of the hour. Then at 10:35, to help wrap up the show this morning, we will hear from Bison sophomore wide receiver and the pride of Williston, Isiah St. Romain will join us. Had the opportunity to talk with him last Friday at Bison Media Day and get his thoughts on the upcoming season, what it was like growing up playing football in Williston and being a guy who's come out and now a Division I FBS football player. Good conversation with Isiah, and we'll get to that at 10:35. Let's take a break. When we come back, give you an update on the Minnesota Twins, maybe some Wolves news if we have time. And again, Tommy Butler from Central Cash joining us at 9:35. That's coming up when Hot Mike returns. All right, welcome back on this Thursday morning edition of Hot Mike. Sam Getzinger filling in for Dom Izzo today. Tommy Butler joining us in about 10 minutes, head coach of Central Cass football. You saw the Twins sign in the back there. Let's get you an update on the Minnesota Twins here in this first hour. Exciting night tonight against the Phillies. Have the Field of Dreams game down in Iowa coming up tonight. But first, they had some unfinished business against Baltimore last night, looking to get the series win at home. Here's how it happened. They had a day game yesterday against the Baltimore Orioles, coming off of a loss. Win yesterday, win the series. Here's what happened. Bottom of the first with a man on, Josh Bell, single out to right field. That will score Trevor Larnach. Game's tied up at 1 in the first. We go to the top of the third. Big inning here for both teams. 2 men on. Dylan Beavers. A drive to right, clears the wall. I know nothing about Dylan Beavers, but I do know he's swinging a hot bat at the moment, at least in this series against the Twins. So the O's lead 4-1. Then in the bottom of the third, Cody Clemens with a single to right. That will score Royce Lewis and make it 4-3. 2 men on, Victor Carantini, a single to center. Clemens comes in to score. We are tied at 4. Still in the bottom of the third. Crucial part of the ball game yesterday. Alan Roden, a double to deep right center. This was the game changer. That would drive in a couple of runs. Twins would take the lead after that at 6-4. And really, they wouldn't look back. Royce Lewis, who's been swinging a hot bat, doubled down the left field line. Alan Roden, who had the double earlier, he would come in to score 7-4 at this point. Twins coming back from a 4-1 deficit against Baltimore. The O's would try to get a little bit more. This is a solo homer in the top of the ninth to make it 7-5. Tavares with a drive to clear the wall. Not a ton of people there. Granted, it was a Wednesday afternoon. Everybody's working. But then that would end the game. 7-5 final for the Twins. Grounder to end things. Good victory for Minnesota. There's no doubt about that. Get the series win against Baltimore. Minnesota is now 60-62 on the season. 2 games below 500, which is a fairly solid spot as of right now. 4 runs in the bottom of the third for Minnesota after giving up 3 in the top of the third. They tacked on 2 more in the bottom of the fifth. 14 hits sprinkled around in the game. Zebby Matthews gets the win, going 5 innings, giving up 6 hits, had 4 strikeouts, those 4 earned runs. Alan Roden, a phenomenal day, a pair of doubles, 2 singles. Josh Bell with 3 hits in the game as well. So right now, the Twins, as I mentioned, 2 games below 500. They are second, tied for second in the AL Central with the Detroit Tigers, both 3.5 games back. And also the Minnesota Twins, they're just 1 game, if I'm not mistaken, 1 game out of a wild card spot right now. See it there, Texas, Boston, New York, and then Detroit still in the mix. It's going to be a battle with Detroit and with Minnesota, a couple of series coming up there. And, of course, when you look at the AL Central race, the Twins have 2 more series left with the Chicago White Sox to help wrap up this month and to go into next month, home and on the road. Those are going to be massive in terms of who's going to come out on top of the AL Central. If they can keep holding close, holding true, keep the White Sox at bay, and then stomp them when you get to that point, things are going to get pretty interesting. Now I'm curious how much tension is going to be on Minnesota the rest of the way with the Vikings now ramping up. The Timberwolves, there's excitement buzzing around that start of the season as well. But September definitely is going to be huge. And as we mentioned, Twins have the start of the series tonight against the Phillies for the Field of Dreams game. 6:30 tonight. It's on Netflix. Taj Bradley will get the start against Aaron Nola. They are off on Friday and then back over the weekend on Saturday and Sunday. We'll chat more about the Twins briefly with Alec Ausmus, but of course Corey Provis will join us tomorrow on the program to get the full rundown of the Minnesota Twins. With that being said, we're due for a break. Let's step aside. When we come back, turning our attention back over to football. North Dakota High School football, Central Cass. Head coach Tommy Butler will join us, preview the Squirrels when we come back on Hot Mic.
This is Hot Mic with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
Welcome back on this Thursday morning. Sam Getzinger filling in for Dom Izzo today. If my count is right, and I'm not mistaken, we are 8 days away from the true start of the North Dakota High School football regular season. Week 0 action on WDAY Extra coming up 1 week from tomorrow with Velva and Valley City. I'm looking forward to that. We are 15 days away from opening night for Central Cass Squirrels football, another year in Division 2A. Can't believe that it's 15 days away as we welcome in the Squirrels head coach Tommy Butler joining us on this Thursday morning. Can you believe that? Regular season's right around the corner already, Tommy.
I can't wait, man. It's been awesome. The summer's been awesome, so we're excited to get going here.
I'm looking forward to watching you guys play. Another exciting team coming up for you guys out in Castleton. You've been going for about a week now in fall camp. How's it been so far? What's the vibe of the team right now?
Vibes are high. Vibes are high. You know, we have a lot of returners, but we also have a lot of young guys that are going to be, you know, fighting for some spots. So we got a nice blend this year of you know, those returners trying to step up to be the next guys. And then, you have that young group there that's, just fighting to feel like they're not drinking from a fire hose.
There's no doubt. I want to touch on some of those guys here in just a second and take a look at who you have returning for this year and get excited for that. But I want to reflect back on last year for just a moment. First year for Central Cass in 2A football. How did you guys feel like you handled that transition going from single A to double A last season?
Yeah, I thought we handled it well. I think our mindset going into it was, this is where we belong. These are the types of teams that we should be playing. And so I think our kids were bought in from day one. There was no hesitation of, should we be in this league or should we not? Obviously, we knew that there's really, really good teams in this league that, anybody could beat anybody. And it takes your best to win. You have an off night, you will lose. Mm-hmm. And we had that a couple different times throughout the season. But I thought we made a great push. I thought we got better each week. I came down to the last minute against Minot North, and I felt like we were right there. We probably missed a couple plays at the end that I wish we had back. But I think for us to be that close, to know that and we would love to have another shot at Devil's Lake. I think that just gives those kids that got to play in that game just a little extra motivation going into this season of how close you were, and that we don't want to feel that way again.
Absolutely. We're watching some of the highlights of that game right now. It just looked like it was a brutal, cold night up in Minot, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it started out, it was cold, like you said, but it was clear. It was actually a really nice night, in November. And then after halftime, then the snow came, and then it just kept going and kept going. And, again, I think obviously both teams had to play in it. They made some crucial plays on their end that, ended up winning the game for them. But, I thought it was an awesome atmosphere. I think they do a great job up there at Minot North. So for us to compete that way and again, be that close. I mean, like I said, we were about a minute away from going to play in another Dakota Bowl. It was an awesome time up there, but definitely wish we would have came out with a win there.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about that, and we'll see what happens this upcoming season. I'm curious, is there a heightened level of comfortability with the players and even your coaching staff? Now in year 2 of 2A, you've seen these teams before. You can game plan a little bit more because you've seen them. Is there a little bit more comfortability going into year 2 in this division?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Obviously, there's going to be a couple new coaches in there, but, I think you have an idea of what you're going to do. Our staff, I think, we like when we feel like we've, gotten to see a team or time or two. So for us to have now a second year with that, I think is going to be a big deal for us just as a staff to make sure that our game plans are in the correct order, giving our kids the best chance to succeed. To me, is the name of the game as the head coach. You got to give your kids a shot. It's not about what you run; it's about what works best for those kids. And I think right now I feel really good with where we're at. I feel really good with, obviously having a 3-year returning starting quarterback definitely makes a difference there. And we have a lot of other guys, like I said, that have kind of played in those positions. So to go against these guys, I don't think there's any. Again, last year I don't think that we were really panicking about playing anybody. But now I think that, like you said, that being comfortable in this league and knowing what you're going to get night in and night out, I think will be big for us.
Well, let's talk about your quarterback, Brody Kegley, as you mentioned, coming back for his 3rd year, starting under center. How crucial is that you have a senior quarterback who knows the reins, he knows this division, knows this team, knows the offense? That's got to be exciting for you as a head coach, huh?
Yeah, I mean, he's tremendous. His talent is crazy. His ability to move in the pocket is, second to none. He's gotten a lot bigger. I think last year was probably about 150 pounds. He's put on about 20 pounds.
Oh, there you go.
So he's starting to really fill out. I mean, he's got a big time arm. He can make all the throws. I mean, yesterday in practice, he's, throws one from the left hash and throws a corner out all the way across the field, about 45 yards, drops it right on the sideline. Like it's something awesome just to watch that dude perform in practice. But then his leadership skills, again, are I think what I'm most proud of is he's taking command of the offense. We got another young quarterback in Jack Meyer that's going to probably take over next year that he's mentoring like crazy, trying to make sure that guy's going to be the next great one there. So, those kinds of things to me are what you're looking for in a guy that's going to be running your show offensively.
You guys have been blessed with some good quarterback play over the last 5 years or so, haven't you? And, of course, Brody's been here for now coming up on year 3. Some really good quarterbacks that have come through Castleton.
Yeah, I mean, it's, so when I used to be on Coach Troy Mattern's staff at Fargo South is where I got my start. And when I took over as head coach here, he was like, hey, you guys are going to be a lot like the Shantleys of AA, where you're always going to have athletes. You're always going to have athletes. You're always probably going to have a quarterback. So, if you get a great O-line, awesome. Like we had last year, our O-line was unbelievable. He goes, but you're always going to have those freaky talented kids. Like, so, why don't you just start playing some basketball on grass or getting the ball out in space? Again, give your kids give them the best opportunity to win. And, I think that's what we try to do. And like you said, we've had a lot of really, really good quarterbacks. I mean, I would tell you that, as much as I love football more than anything, but I think this town is a baseball town. We're gosh, I don't know, there's probably 80 kids that play baseball, in the summertime around here.
It's crazy.
So, we're never missing somebody that can throw a football, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, and it helps when you have guys who can catch it, and Easton Holland is one of them. We had him on the show here just a little bit ago. He's now committed to MSUM. It seems like things for Easton just really clicked last year. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think he really took a big stride offensively. Like he said in his interview with Dom that, he really didn't play much offense before. He's never been one afraid of physical contact. And so to him to, get his big opportunity offensively, I thought he really took advantage of that, especially as the year went along. He came in and said, hey, Coach, I think I can contribute even more. What else could I do, to help, get the ball and make plays? And, again, that's what we want, right? Like, we want the communication. We want kids that are wanting to make plays. And he did that. And, again, I think he's leading that group. We have another kid that's going to be a junior, Blaze Cotton, that's going to be, he was our second leading receiver last year, was 2 catches behind Easton. He's another kid that I think is going to be on some, big college radars here. And then we have 2 other kids that are, one's a sophomore, and Kellen Cruchet, his older brother, was our starting running back last year. He's got some unbelievable wiggle. And then another junior receiver in Jarrett Stahl, who we had big time hopes for him last year, and dislocated his ankle on the very first play, the very first game. So we never really got to see him. He looked unbelievable in camp, and then you never got to see him play. So we're excited to see those guys, out in our skill positions. Those are going to be some fun guys to watch.
I was going to say, with all that talent and a quarterback who knows what's going on, you might as well adopt the Troy Mattern style of football and run and gun all over the field. It seems like you guys would do great at that.
Yeah. I mean, again, what a team's giving us, right? I mean, if they're going to pack the box, get it out wide. If they're not, we'll give it to our big running back in Benji Boye and Zane Blix. So, those are going to be. It's going to be a fun time, though.
Absolutely. When I look at your squad going into this upcoming year, one of my big questions is, and I'm sure you guys have had it as well with your coaching staff, how do you fill the holes on the offensive and defensive line with Aiden Wunderlich and Evan Wiersma gone, Wunderlich now at UND and Wiersma over at MSUM? Those are big dudes that played crucial roles over the last couple of years. How do you fill the shoes that they left?
Yeah, I mean, those are, generational talents. I mean, we haven't had guys like that here ever. Obviously, Aiden's our biggest recruit ever. I think Evan's got a chance to, potentially be a starter at MSUM. Honestly, in the next maybe year or two, playing O-line. So I don't know if you can really replace that kind of talent, but we have some kids coming up that are hungry to compete. Ben Nelson has been a 2-year starter. Ben's another kid that's got some real freaky talent. He's, he comes in as a 6th man for us, as a quote point guard, but his job is just to defend the point guards, and yet he plays offensive line and defensive line for us. So he's really good. And then we have 2 other guys that played a lot last year on our O-line, and Jack Sawicki and Aiden Peterson, that just kind of rotated, saw a ton of time. Those 3 guys are kind of our main solid guys on the O-line. And then defensive line-wise, we have Hunter Domar and Hunter Rohr that, again, saw a lot of time last year and have really improved. That maybe they're not quite as big, maybe they're not quite as talented when it comes to just pure overall strength, but, they're doing everything that you want to give yourself a shot.
We just saw the video of Wiersma scoring that touchdown last year. Do you got a guy up on the roster right now that can maybe do that on the offensive line?
Always. I'm an old lineman at heart. I scored a touchdown in high school on a play, and I said every year that as a head coach, I'm going to try to make sure one of my linemen gets to touch a ball, because that's an unbelievable feeling, and especially when you get to score like that, that's something special.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. It was fun to see that, and we'll see what you guys bust out of the bag of tricks for this upcoming season. I'm curious, just looking at your schedule here, and I know the most important game is the first one that's coming up on August 28th at Watford City. you guys are road warriors here for a good portion of this schedule. At Watford City, at Devils Lake the first 2 weeks, then you go to Wapaton, and then at Grand Forks twice. That's a lot of moving around, isn't it?
A lot of moving around. We're 4 of those 5 teams as homecoming games, so we love to play a little spoiler. So that's going to be pretty fun there. I know those are going to be rocking environments since it's going to be homecoming. Which again, that's what you love about high school sports. Getting to go in there, maybe kind of wreck a homecoming party.
No doubt.
Couldn't be any more fun than that.
No doubt. And then, of course, you got Kindred at the end of the season. I bet that your guys are excited about that, a rivalry game to end the regular season again.
Yeah, always, right? I mean, there's nothing better. I think that's the best rivalry in the state. Hopefully, again, we're both undefeated going into that game, playing for a region championship. Every year we talk about that. That's our favorite game to play. We want to beat them. They want to beat us. It's and the crowds there are always awesome. Doesn't matter whether, we know what that game's always going to be like. So it's just our job to get ourselves there. You're not looking ahead to that game, but it's 100% going to be a critical game for us going into the playoffs.
No doubt. Couple more for Tommy Butler, the head coach of Central Cass football, joining us on this Thursday morning. I was looking through the historical records for the Squirrels, and since 1980 on, last 5 seasons, all winning seasons. Prior to that, sitting around or below 500. What changed from 2021 on, where you guys are now contending power in the state of North Dakota?
One, you have to have athletes.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have players. You have to have that. And that's not to say that we didn't have that before, but, I think we put a really big focus on not what do we do as coaches, but what do the kids do well, I don't care who you are. I don't care if Nick Saban's coaching here. If you don't have talent, you cannot win.
Right.
And so for us, it's whatever talent you do get, what are you doing to maximize that the most? And I think that's something that we've done a lot of. When you watch us play, we are rotating all the time. We have a ton of kids that play. I would say on an average Friday night, we probably play somewhere close to 30-plus guys on a Friday night, if not more than that as we go. And that's our goal. Our goal is to get those kids in there. We want to build a program that, you don't just come to practice just to stand on the sideline. If you come to our practice, there's very little standing. We're not a conditioning team. I don't go out there and run kids to death. Like, we're here to get better at their, at what we're asking them to do. Does that mean that they're not going to work hard? No, they are. They're going to work hard. Our word right now over this fall camp is standard, right? What is the standard that you're looking for? And then can you continuously push that standard up, right? If you're a young guy, can you start to get in the mix? If you're in the mix, can you become a starter? If you're a starter, can you win every rep? Just constantly trying to push that envelope all the time. And I think that, when you get a class to buy into that, that's where you start to get those winning traditions. And, kids really, again, they might come from junior high and maybe it does, like that group that won or that made it to the state championship game. Mm-hmm. I think from their 4th grade to their 7th grade year or 8th grade year, I don't know if they won more than 3 games total.
Yeah. Wow.
But, they get into the program, they buy in. We're big guys in developing talent. There's, again, Aiden Wonderlick's a great example. Freshman year, not good, not a good football player. And now is going to UND. Now, is that because of everything we did? No. He's got a lot of talent there, but that guy's worked tremendously hard and listened to anything that was given to him, any kind of information to make himself better. And so, and now that's the standard, right? Like, that's what kids do. There is no just you come to practice from 4 to 6 and that's it. You don't study. You don't get in your playbooks. You don't do any of that. Like, our guys have bought into, what is going to help us win. And now we're just trying to get over that hump and get a championship like we did back in the 80s.
That would be awesome. It's great to see what you guys are doing. Tommy, I appreciate you taking some time. I know you got a busy schedule, so I'll let you get back to it.
I appreciate it, Sam. Go Squirrels.
There we go. Go Squirrels. Tommy Butler joining us on this Thursday morning, the head coach of Central Cass, team that went 7-4 in their first season of 2A football. Back again this year, a challenging schedule, a lot of road games, but with a lot of talent that they have coming back, I think the Squirrels are going to be a pretty dangerous team in that division. There's no doubt. I love his philosophy on offensive linemen touching the ball. It made me remember a story from my day. If you couldn't tell, I was an offensive lineman way back in my day. I wasn't any good. I was actually in middle school playing on the O-line, and at one point, a coach decided, hey, why don't you go in and be a running back? And I was like, oh, yeah, obviously. First play, we're on the 30-yard line. I get to the line of scrimmage, and I wasn't necessarily stripped of the ball. I just dropped it, threw it behind me. Luckily, our quarterback was there, and he was speedy, picked it up for a 30-yard touchdown. So that was my first appearance as a running back, as an offensive lineman. My second one was in the same game. Couple of seconds left in the game. Final play, I get a 4-yard rush up the middle. I'm tackled. I stand up, and my pants are off. I'm just sitting there in my breezers, and it's off. So that was my second play as a running back, as an offensive lineman. So that was horrible. But I do love seeing offensive linemen touch the football, just as long as it's not me touching the football. I got bad experiences. But with that being said, happy to see or looking forward to see what Central Cass can do this upcoming season. All right, we're due for a break. When we come back, we'll step aside, put a bow on hour number 1. Hour number 2, we'll start with Alec Ausmus, get a little bit more insight on the Vikings dilemma, and also some other topics going on. That's coming up when Hot Mike returns after this. Great to catch up with Central Cass head coach Tommy Butler. Coming up to start hour number 2, Alec Ausmus from KSTP will join us chatting all things Minnesota sports, including Kyler Murray and J.J. McCarthy and that saga with the Minnesota Vikings. That's coming up in just a couple of minutes on Hot Mike.
Welcome back to Hot Mike with Sam Getzinger, brought to you by Northwestern Mutual.
Hour number 2 of this Thursday morning edition of Hot Mike off and rolling. Sam Getzinger filling in for Dom Izzo. As I mentioned, it's a football-heavy Thursday today, and we're going to continue that trend as we welcome in our next guest. It's the return of the St. Cloud Power Hour. Got to have it whenever I'm in the big chair. Alec Ausmus from KSTP, sports anchor and reporter, joining us this morning. Great to see you, Alec. I know you're moments away from heading off to Gopher fall camp. You've been at Vikings fall camp. We're just at that point of the year where it is a pedal to the metal. Things are getting crazy right now, especially for you guys.
It's fun though. I mean, it's and we were saying off camera, high school football, at least in Minnesota, the first practices that gets going on Monday. I mean, it's just it's here we go, and it's crazy how right now we sweat through these practices, but by the end of the season, we're shivering on the sidelines at some of this stuff. So it's the full year, full spectrum of football, which is great.
There's no doubt. I want to get to the Vikings in just a second, but you told me yesterday you were going to the Gophers, and I've been following the Gophers from afar, not too closely for the last couple of years since I moved up to North Dakota. I haven't really heard anything from their fall camp. Well, what's the big storylines going over there at the U of M?
Yeah, think about this. It's year 10. Of PJ Fleck.
Unbelievable.
Like, it's already been a decade of PJ Fleck, and things overall have been going okay. Like, I mean, he hasn't lost a bowl game, and I know some of those bowl games, the Rate Bowl, the Quick Lane Bowl in Detroit, but he's 6-7-0, something like that in bowl games. Year 10 of PJ Fleck. Here's what I'm going to say about the Gopher football team. I have reason in my mind to wonder this season if they can even win. They'd be lucky if they win 5 games.
Okay.
I also have reason to easily believe they could win 8 or 9 games. I mean, it's and the biggest thing behind that is quarterback Drake Lindsey.
Yep.
What kind of stride did he make? He went to the Peyton Manning camp, quarterback camp this summer. I mean, you have to be a fairly elite quarterback to even get invited to that. So Drake Lindsey is part of that. He's coming back with experience. What kind of stride, what kind of leap can Drake Lindsey make this year? There are some key returners. Darius Taylor, running back. On the defensive end, Anthony Smith, who could very easily, well, I shouldn't say easily, but there's a good chance he could be the Big Ten Player of the Year, the defensive end for the Gophers. So they have some guys like that make things very interesting on how this season could play out. However, they have over 50 new guys on this team.
Yeah,
now, that does
something.
count transfer portal, incoming freshmen. Any college team in the country is going to have guys in those categories. But the Gophers, over half of their roster are newbies, guys we don't know.
Right.
A lot of that's incoming freshmen, and there's a really good recruiting class as far as a PJ Fleck recruiting class. Some in-state guys, Romain Voss from Jackson, Minnesota, Southern Minnesota kid. I mean, he turned down Alabama to come to the Gophers. His name was already popping up from PJ Fleck last week when we heard from PJ. So there's a lot of unknown, but it's not a bad thing necessarily. We got to see how some games play out, obviously, but part of me is optimistic. The glass half full says maybe this team wins 7, 8, maybe 9 games. Also, I wouldn't be shocked if they didn't clear 5 wins.
Okay, that'd be interesting. Well, one more on the Gophers. Coy Parrish leaving to go to Oregon. How big of a hole is that for PJ Fleck to fill?
It's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
Now, I would say Coy, his sophomore year last year wasn't as flashy as his freshman year, but teams planned for him last year. Their game plan revolved around Coy Parrish being an option there in the secondary. There's a kid named Kerry Brown in the secondary. He's back. I pencil him in as a Coy Parrish replacement, but I don't know. A crazy world of college football in that regard, right? Coy Parrish goes to Oregon, and I've seen he's getting paid as high as $2 million. Again, that's speculation, but wow. But yeah, Coy Parrish out, Kerry Brown in.
All right, well, we'll see how that goes, and it's hard to turn down $2 million. If I was that age and getting offered that, I'd hop on that ship right away. There's no doubt. I wanted to have you on, wanted to talk about the Vikings here. Of course, the news of Kyler Murray, now named the starter, has been released. Not necessarily a surprise, but you've been boots on the ground. You've seen this quarterback battle. What did you see in fall camp that separated Kyler from JJ, if really there was anything to separate the two?
That's just it, Sam. Neither Kyler or JJ consistently have been great. All right, we've seen moments from both. Kyler is a better quarterback right now. That's not breaking news to say that Kyler Murray is a better quarterback than JJ McCarthy, but McCarthy came in with almost, roughly 3 years of Kevin O'Connell's playbook in his mind, and Kyler told us that's the hardest part is he wants more and more reps. Here's the question, though, Sam. Was this truly a quarterback competition?
I say
by
no.
By definition, it is. Right?
Fair.
By definition, it is. Now, yesterday, we heard from J.J. McCarthy, and he said there were things out of his control. But there kind of wasn't.
I agree.
He had the ability and control of everything he did in the offseason and to come in to this fall camp, this training camp, and outplay Kyler Murray. And in times he did. But I feel like what I'm getting at is this never truly was favored for J.J. McCarthy to come out of this as the starting quarterback. I do think there were conversations behind the scenes with Kyler Murray, especially when he signed with the Vikings, that we're going to make it look like a competition. We are going to give JJ a shot, but you're coming in to be our starter week 1. And it's time. Was this all a waste of time? Like, did Kyler Murray miss out on a few reps with the first team because they technically had to give JJ some in front of us? We'll see. They both are supposed to play tomorrow, or Saturday night rather, against the Giants. I would think, obviously, JJ McCarthy, this is a big preseason for him. What can he do is the thought to see what he can do and up his trade value. I don't know. I do. Here's the other question. How durable is Kyler Murray? I don't think Kyler Murray plays 17 games this season.
That's what we're thinking.
And that's not that he's not good enough. That's just a durability question. So do the Vikings need J.J. McCarthy anticipating that Kyler can't play every game? Or is Fargo's golden boy, Carson Wentz, well, I know he's from Bismarck, but
still,
is that where Carson Wentz comes into the picture? Is the whole plan is to have Kyler Murray and Carson Wentz as your two quarterbacks and eventually try to trade J.J. McCarthy? Juicy, right? I mean, I say that somewhat tongue-in-cheek, but it's been a fairly boring training camp, but in many ways that's a good thing. There hasn't been any off-field issues. There hasn't been a Jordan Addison getting into some weird run-in with the police with speeding through a residential zone or something.
Right.
I mean, it's been quiet. We're almost getting bored of talking about the quarterbacks, but
I don't blame you.
How can you not?
Yeah. It's one of the biggest storylines in the NFL fall or training camp throughout, the league right now. And now that this dog and pony show, if you will, is wrapped up, the timeline makes sense to do it 2 weeks in and not let it draw out for a couple of preseason games, right? Let's get this out of the way so Kyler can get those reps. So the timeline makes sense. Is that fair?
The timeline makes sense. The time was right now, and that's what Kevin O'Connell told us earlier this week, was that they felt that they had seen enough. There had been enough evaluation through about 9 practices, because I think we learned of Kyler becoming the starter before practice 10 of training camp. So, I guess that's what they saw what they needed to see. But that's back to my point of, was all of that a waste of time? Because if you knew Kyler was going to be your starter, why did you waste any time at all with him just not starting? But it just blows my mind, too. Think about this. If they move off J.J. McCarthy, that is in some of the all-time quarterback team that drafted a guy as high as they did. Like, that's Josh Rosen territory.
Yeah, no, it is.
Trey Lance a little bit. Like, love the kid. And just he didn't pan out with his first team. And just if they move off of McCarthy, 10 games is all we saw. I think even Christian Ponder made 30-some starts for the Vikings. So just amazing in many ways if the Vikings do move off McCarthy, just how quick this blew up, how quick this changed, how quick of a wasted first-round draft pick that turned out to be. And, Sam, trust me, as a media member, when you get to know J.J. McCarthy, you love the kid. It's really hard to not cheer for this guy. I went to his hometown last year and talked to his high school coach. I've been around his hometown now a few times. Like, the people there are great. It's so hard to not cheer for McCarthy. I fear that he will pan out to be an okay quarterback, maybe somewhere in the NFL, but it won't be with the Vikings. He's going to run out of time.
I agree. And to go off your point, Eric put the comparison in my ear of Jamarcus Russell in there as well, which, that could be in the conversation there too. I just think of the flip side of that. There's been so many high drafted quarterbacks that have not panned out, but there have been some where it takes a little bit of time. And he's only 23 years old. Baker Mayfield's another one. Sam Darnold took a little bit to really catch his full stride. So I'm not ready to completely slam the door on JJ, but at least with this decision with Kevin O'Connell, it solidifies his way of thinking. He's more of a fan of veteran quarterbacks, and he's seen what Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold have done, and now hoping Kyler Murray can be the next one. And this just solidifies that we're going to go with Kyler. Maybe Carson sticking around for a high backup position as well. They're more veteran guys in the league. That's kind of how I see it right now.
And that's fair, right? Like, if you're Kevin O'Connell, what coach doesn't want a established veteran quarterback? Unless it's Jaden Daniels with the Commanders, I know his rookie year, he showed some things. Last year he had some injuries. So, there are flashes where you get this young rookie that you're like, okay, this is our guy for the next decade. And there is something to say, too, Sam, about Kyler Murray and McCarthy going up against Brian Flores' defense every day. This defense looks really good. It could be one of the best. It should be. I don't know why it wouldn't be. Some injuries, I guess, but it should be one of the top defenses in the NFL this season. So that's actually, I think the Vikings defense is going to be more than just a safety net for this team this season. I think that defense is going to bail them out if Kyler is struggling. I think the defense could bail them out of a lot of sticky situations, and going up against that every day. And we hear this every day, Sam, the iron sharpens iron. I know that is so cliche, but in ways, at Vikings training camp right now, with that offense going against Brian Flores' defense, there is a lot of truth to that.
It's one of those coach speak deals that it's okay, we've heard it forever, but it does make sense. Next man up, okay, we've heard that, but it makes sense. I get that. A couple more for Alec Ausmus. I know you got to go to go for fall camp here in just a little bit. You mentioned it's a boring training camp. Is there anything that this quarterback battle has overshadowed that maybe isn't being talked about at Vikings fall or training camp right now?
They need to run the football better, okay? Aaron Jones told my colleague Darren Wolfson that the run game will have more of an impact this season. They realize they haven't been a great running team, and Jones missed some games last year, but even Jordan Mason, I guess running back number 2, he even lost some weight this offseason intentionally to be faster, to be more elusive. I mean, they know they need to move the ball a lot better. Let's see how that pans out. I mean, Kyler, any quarterback needs a good run game, and the Vikings haven't had that for a few seasons. So I've been keeping an eye on that in spring training camp. I almost said spring training. This isn't baseball. In training camp, and obviously the 3 receivers they have now, Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and Juwan Jennings. Great signing to bring in Juwan Jennings as your number 3 receiver. So there's some things on the offense that are definitely overshadowed right now by this quarterback conversation, but all of those things should help Kyler look pretty good.
Last one, switching off of football, going over to the Minnesota Twins. We're at the late point of the season. Do people care down in the cities about the Twins right now? Should they care, considering they're still in the race? What's the vibe surrounding that team?
Hey, the Twins are right in it, and what's helping with that is the American League is just not overpowering this year. But hey, that you have no control over that. The Twins are in it right now, but they went from pre-trade deadline needing to bolster the bullpen, and now the starting rotation has taken some major hits. Joe Ryan's on the IL. Bailey Ober has struggled a little bit. Zebby Matthews, I know they won yesterday, but Zebby didn't look great either. So let's say you do squeak into the playoffs. Is Joe Ryan healthy? Does that leave you with just Taj Bradley? Is Bailey Ober the number 3 guy for any kind of playoff run? I mean, there's some shakiness now in the starting rotation, and that's just baseball. They're hitting the ball well. Royce Lewis is a machine right now. He's mashing doubles again. He's getting extra base hits. So the offense has never really been a problem for the Twins this season. It's always pitching. The bullpen's better. I mean, think about it. We actually have some faith in the Twins bullpen now. Whether it's Hoffman, who they traded for, A.J. Minter's been solid. Like, there's guys now, Andrew Morris, who they've drafted and developed. I mean, that's great to see. So there's a lot of good with the bad on this, Sam, but there's optimism. They might be able to squeak in. I don't know I haven't looked at the standings today. I think they were a game out of the wild card yesterday.
Yep.
The White Sox are staying kind of hot a little bit in the Central, so I know there are a few back in the Central, but that's what we wanted, right? That's all we wanted. Just this team to be in the hunt. You know, it's mid-August now. I mean, you're getting closer to really being able to hone in on that finish line. And the Twins are in it. They're in this race. And Tom Pohlad at the beginning of the year said this team will be competitive this season. He was confident on that. He didn't promise it, but he kind of did. And here they are. So that needs to change, right? That the new ownership, the Pohlads still own the team, but Tom coming in, that was where the fans needed a recharge, and so far that's happening.
Yeah, it's a good sign considering how low fan expectations were at the beginning of the season. To see that they're still in the mix is good. They got the Field of Dreams game coming up tonight. Yeah. I'll let you run. I know you're a busy guy. I appreciate you taking a couple of minutes and joining us this morning.
Hey, always, Sam. Thanks for having me. The St. Cloud Power Hour, man. I needed that jolt myself, so this is great.
There you go. Hopefully that gets you through the rest of camp. Until next time, enjoy the rest of your day, man. Have a good weekend.
Yep, see you, Sam. Thanks.
Alec Ausmus from KSTP joining us on this Thursday morning. Always great to catch up with him. One of the busiest men in show business. Those guys down there in the Twin Cities doing a wonderful job covering everything happening, and it's that busy time. Minnesota high school football starting on Monday. Eric, I think that what Alex said answered some of our questions from the beginning of the show. Eric, you asked what the defense was going to be like, and Alec was pretty firm. Defense is going to be good, potentially one of the top in the NFL, which is a much-needed sign for Minnesota Vikings fans heading into this year with questions going around the offense with what's going to happen at quarterback. Are they going to be able to run the ball? They got decent wide receivers. Can they get the ball to those wide receivers? But it sounds like the defense is going to help them out. And I do like what Alex said. I tried to give JJ the benefit of the doubt at the beginning of the show by saying on his comments of it was out of his control. The decision to pick Kyler over JJ was out of his control. I tried giving him the benefit of the doubt. I understood somewhat of where he's coming from, that the decision itself is not one that he was going to have to make. But I go back with Alec that there were a lot that were in his control. It maybe wasn't his and Kyler had to fight to get it at the start of training camp. But, oh, man, JJ had all the control in the world to do everything perfectly to make it a no-brainer that we were going to go with JJ, and he just didn't do that. That's why the out-of-control comment is a little odd for me. And now we wait and see. Is it going to be JJ? Is he sticking around? I think he will for this year. Does that put Carson Wentz as the 3 guy? I think so. I think that's where he's at, unless I'm completely misinterpreting or misreading Carson Wentz heading into this season. I think that's where things are going to shake up for the Vikings right now. Eric, do you have anything to add after hearing what Alec had to say?
Yeah, I guess my question, I mean, I know we didn't have enough time to answer, to even ask this, but how often or like how long can the Vikings offense stay on the field to help their defense?
Well,
because
yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
The best defense is your offense, because if the offense is constantly going like 3 and out, or it's a quick 5-play drive, the defense is going to get tired. So how good are you going to be then, like late in games?
Yep.
When you need your offense to sustain that 10, 12-play drive that goes 8-9 minutes.
And to go back off of what Alex said, too, the durability of Kyler Murray is something in question. And I think as a Minnesota sports fan, you have to have that in the back of your mind, because we've all been heartbreaking at some point or another over the last couple of years, year in and year out. And you have to imagine, I know we're pushing, like I said earlier, the horse is well ahead of the cart right now when we talk about injuries in the NFL season, but that is a possibility of something that can happen. And I agree with you. If you're going to have a good football team, both the defense, offense have to be good, but they have to complement each other. There has to be complementary football. And are we going to get that with the Minnesota Vikings with what the offense is looking like right now? I'm looking at the unofficial depth chart that they put out just the other day for the Vikings. JJ's at number 2, Carson's at 3, Max Brosmer is at 4. The running backs are interesting. Aaron Jones or Jordan Mason, who's going to come out ahead of there? But I think Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, if he can continue to be productive, that's a good start there. And as he said, Jawan Jennings is a solid third option. I think their receiving group is no issue as well. TJ Hawkinson, how good can he be this year? Josh Oliver, can he make a difference as the backup guy at a tight end? Is Gavin Bartholomew going to do anything? I really don't think so, but that's something to consider there. The offensive line, on paper, it looks solid. Health-wise, are they back? Is Darisaw going to be good to go this year? Everything that we're going to find out as the next couple of weeks progress. Eric, you got something else you want to add here?
Yeah, just a quick note on Kyler Murray here. Just looking at their schedule and looking at how in the Cardinals contract that they had to have like a film study or like video game stuff because he doesn't study film. His favorite game, Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 4, comes out October 23rd.
Were we doing this when he was with the Cardinals and a video game was coming out?
Hey.
Oh, I bet. See, now, what I think is funny with Vikings quarterbacks right now, I for sure Kyler wants to live down this whole video game thing, and I'm strongly thinking JJ's ready to live down this whole 9 thing. I bet he regrets ever saying that in whatever interview it was at camp or whenever or post game. I bet they're just waiting to live this down, and just things keep on stacking with all this quarterback battle news, air quotes around that. I bet these guys are just they're just sick of it, but
they do it to themselves, though.
They do. They do. And it partially on fans and on the media for boosting that up, but it's something to talk about. I bet they're ready to live it down. So keep that in your back pocket on whenever you said that video game comes out.
October 23rd, so 2 days before they play the Colts.
Okay. So, well, that'd be great for me if he gets a little distracted. I'd be okay with that. But keep that in your back pocket. If he has a bad game against the Colts, you can use that as your excuse on October 23rd. All right, we are due for a break, well overdue. Big thank you to Alec for joining us here on this Thursday morning. Let's step aside. A reminder coming up later on this hour, we'll have Isiah St. Romain, Bison wide receiver, joining us. Pride out of Williston, heading into his sophomore year. We'll get to that in a little bit. Got some Timberwolves news I want to pass along as well in our next segment. That's coming up when we return on Hot Mic. Half hour left to go on this Thursday morning. Sam Getzinger filling in for Dom Izzo today. Big thank you so far to Tommy Butler, the head coach of Central Cass, for joining us earlier this morning, and also Alec Ausmus as well, getting the lowdown on the Minnesota Vikings and also a little Minnesota Golden Gopher talk as well. See if they can break out of what he thinks could either be a below 500 year or another solid year and a bowl win. We'll just have to see. Only time will tell. I didn't get to the topic of the Minnesota Timberwolves with Alec because he had a run to get to Gopher Fall Camp. But I wanted to touch on this because there's been a couple of more scheduling notes to hit on with the Minnesota Timberwolves. And, of course, buzz is growing around this team, as it should be, for what is expected to be an exciting season with LaMelo Ball now teaming up with Anthony Edwards. And it really feels like the league is taking notice. And you can see that when it comes to scheduling nationally televised games throughout the regular season. We told you recently it was announced that the Wolves, they would have a home game on Christmas, a day game as well at 6:30 against Oklahoma City, which is a big-time matchup. Now, granted, that game is really butting up with the Rams and the Seahawks on Week 16 on Fox. But it's still something. I'm going to tune into the Wolves on Christmas. There's no doubt about that. So that's already a big get for Minnesota, a Christmas Day game at home as well at the Target Center. Also, what was released yesterday, a couple of other big primetime games that have been announced for the Minnesota Timberwolves. LaMelo and Giannis and Bam Adebayo and Ant. Giannis and LaMelo are going to make their season debuts on October 21st on ESPN on opening week. That's a big one. But released yesterday on Martin Luther King Day, which is a huge day for the NBA during the regular season on January 18th, Wolves are there again, 4 o'clock Central at New York. The defending NBA Finals champions, the New York Knicks, Wolves are going to be there on Martin Luther King Day. That's pretty big. It's one of the biggest basketball nights of the year. Also, on top of that, on President's Day in February, we're going to get LaMelo going up against his former team in the Hornets at an 11 o'clock start time on President's Day, which is a Monday on NBC and on Peacock. So you can see that the league is excited about the Minnesota Timberwolves, as they should be. Minnesota sports fans are excited for this upcoming season, and you can see it with the scheduling of nationally televised games. And I know we had the news about other regular season games going on DAZN, which I'm not going to badmouth it by any means. You can take it one way or another. It's just another thing that sports fans have to be on the lookout for and pay for and get ready for. And you're going to get subscription fatigue, no doubt. But at least you'll get plenty of Minnesota Timberwolves games on the national schedule. Opening weekend, Christmas, Martin Luther King Day, President's Day, Thanksgiving Eve as well. Thank you, Eric, for mentioning that. Got the Thunder again on that one. It's going to be an exciting year. Now, will they live up to the expectations? We will have to see. How well can they mesh? I'm excited about that. Is there any other additions that are going to be made before the beginning of the year to try to get a little bit more size now that Julius Randle's out of the picture? We'll have to see. I think that may be the case. But buzz is building, that's for sure. We're due for a break. We got to get to one. We got to get to Isiah St. Romain coming up here in the next couple of minutes. Great conversation coming up with him. We'll hear from Isiah St. Romain coming up on the other side when Hot Mike returns.
This is Hot Mike with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
A couple of minutes left to go on this Thursday morning. Hopping into our next conversation, we've been doing it for the last couple of weeks, is airing some of the interviews we've gathered from Bison Fall Camp. Had the opportunity to sit down last Friday at Bison Media Day with Isiah St. Romain, now in his sophomore year, but really his third year with North Dakota State football, out of Williston. Now potentially has the opportunity to make a big impact on the wide receiver room this year with starting quarterback Nathan Hayes. I think this could be a big year for Isiah St. Romain. I had the opportunity to catch up with him, get his thoughts on the upcoming season, what it's been like Now being from Williston, he wasn't originally from Williston, which is an interesting story. So we talked about that for a little bit, his thoughts on the wide receiver room as well. Great conversation with Isiah. Here's that, brought to you by Northwestern Mutual on this Thursday morning. Just thoughts on fall camp, having the pads back on. What's the last couple of weeks been like?
The last couple of weeks have been great, really diving into details, being able to go to work every day with my brothers and just, creating a bond in camp. I feel like, you go through tough days, you go through hard days. Some days you don't want to wake up, but just really going to work with my brothers every day and getting better and better and, just can't wait for the season to be able to start.
Is this your third year already?
Yeah.
Hey, can you believe that?
No, I can't believe. Yesterday it felt like I just walked in here and you wake up the next day and I'm going into my third year, so time definitely is flying.
How would you describe last season? Able to, get a handful of catches, appear in some games. What was that like for you?
It was amazing to be able to get my feet wet and, just be able to learn from the older guys in our room, from, a lot of people know who we had in our room, and just, be able to learn the small things and really learn how to prepare myself for the time that, when it's my time, I'll be able to go out there and perform.
This room looks completely different this year. What's it been like getting to know everybody?
It's been amazing. It's some new faces in the room, and they joined us just as if they've been here for 5 years. So it all goes to Crutch. He's been providing for us a great coaching, and then just all the guys buying into each other. We all been buying into one another, and we just all want each other to be the best that we could be.
Like you mentioned, there's no Bryce, no Raja. Chris is gone as well. Do you guys take it upon yourselves to say, hey, just because they're gone, this is still a pretty good wide receiver room? Is that something that goes through your guys' head?
Oh yeah, it's a great wide receiver room. I feel as if we lost Bryce, Raj, Chris. We lost a lot of key guys, but we also got a lot of guys in the room that can make key plays. So I feel as if we lost those guys, but this year will be a year for us to go out and prove that we could no longer live under the shadow and make a name for ourselves.
How nice was it, though, to have them around as a younger guy and learn from them?
Oh, it was amazing. Raj being Raj, Bryce being the leader that he was. And I really learned a lot from Raj, Chris, and Bryce. And they took us in under our wings, and they really showed us the steps and what it takes to be a Bison almost. And it really shows that, they instilled confidence in us that we could go out there and do this just as they can.
Yeah. The last couple of years, what has changed for you from maybe the player you were in high school to the player you are now?
Just the strength coaches, pouring into us, really working on body development, character development, and just really diving into more details into the plays, really going over it with the quarterbacks, being more detailed with your artwork and your craft and being a student of the game. It really will help you out in the long way.
How do you feel like your skills complement everybody else in the wide receiver room?
I feel, we all got our skill set and we all got our base and skills that we are good at individually, and I feel as if when you bring all those individual skill sets into one as a group, we could do, the sky's the limit.
Is there something you would say you pride yourself on the most? Is it speed, deep ball? What would you say that is?
I would say I pride myself most on just, when the ball's in the air, we're going to make a play. That's what receivers do, and I feel as if we just got to come down with the ball every time.
I'm trying to remember the story when we talked to you last year about Williston. You're not originally from Williston, right?
No.
Where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Baytown, Texas. That's where I was born, and I grew up in Crosby, and then I moved to Beaumont, Texas. I bounced around from place to place in Texas, and then the move from Texas to Williston was a big move, but honestly really excited that my family took me and gave me the courage to be able to go out of my comfort zone and move to a place that's 20 hours away, being away from family. But honestly, the opportunity to be to be proudful and be pride and to take in accountability of being from Williston is amazing. And you don't see too many people coming out from Williston. So just being able to, put on for my town and put on for the people and show the younger kids that you can make it from this place and there's bigger opportunities out there for you in the world.
How old were you when you went to Williston?
I would say I was a freshman in high school, so 15, 16, around
say
there.
That's an interesting time to make a move like
that.
It
definitely is.
Were you like, what are we doing in Williston? This is a lot different than Texas. Was that running through your mind at all?
Yeah, it was when I actually looked up where's the closest AAU basketball team, because I was big into basketball at the time. And they told me it was 6 hours away in Jamestown, and I was like, geez, like 6 hours? That's like super far. But, you know, as you get into the North Dakota and you really, you know, 6 hours is just a straight shot. It's no traffic, no anything. So it really, the time, you know, the 6 hours could take you getting from Houston to Dallas.
Yeah.
So, like, it's just being able to pride myself as a North Dakota kid, it's really a blessing, and it's a dream come true to be a part of something bigger than myself. And just being able to represent and play for the home state is really great.
I was going to ask you that. Do you classify yourself as a North Dakota guy or a Texas guy?
I'll definitely classify myself as a North Dakota kid, just based on the simple fact that this is a place that I've stayed in for the longest and didn't bounce around. I think it's going on 5 years. So, like, Williston, you know, it's really it was really a special place to me and became super special. And I don't think a lot of people will want to say that about Wilson, but Wilson has definitely got a special place in my heart.
Was that kind of like a quick, you fit in like a glove right away, or did it take a little bit of time to get out of your shell and in a new place?
Me personally, I feel as if I could talk to anybody. You know, I could go all over around the world, and I'm never shy to talk to anyone. I feel like as if I could have a conversation with who knows who. And just being able to do that and be prideful in myself of having a conversation, I feel as if people gravitated to me a little bit, and that it was easier for me to make friends and really be able to talk to people. And so I feel as if it wasn't hard for me at all to stick around and be able to learn how the North Dakotans do things.
Yeah, absolutely. What was it like playing football in Williston? If I remember, were you a quarterback at one point?
At one point, I did play a little bit of Wildcat quarterback. I thought, you know, my dreams of playing quarterback one day, they were really high, and then, you know, I got shut down with them when I just couldn't throw a spiral and kept throwing duck balls. So I just told myself I'm going to stick to catching footballs and running.
There you go. How long was that experiment at quarterback?
So I think it was one game where our quarterback got hurt and they asked me to go in there, and I was like, you sure? Like, I'm not really So, I mean, honestly, I would just look left, look right, and I would just try to run.
Oh, there you go.
I wouldn't
did it work
trust
out
my
all
arm
right?
tail. Yeah, it worked out sometimes. It worked out sometimes, but not most of the time. They got the best of me.
That's all right. Well, you found a good spot.
Yeah.
How did you get into football? I know football in Texas is huge. Is that kind of the
so
how you got into it?
Really, just you know, my godfather my grandfather that passed away. You know, he was really big on it. Just like he was a motorhead, and they called him Motor, and he was just always just wanting to hit things and hit things and hit things. So just being around him, like it kind of grew a competitive spirit in me, and I just wanted to play football, and just the feeling of being able to go hit somebody. It was just like as a kid, like that you pray for time. It's like you always want to hit things when you're a kid. So I think football kind of really was just like a quiet place for me. It kind of took out all the things that were going on in life, and it just made me kind of calm down and just be a kid and just be able to enjoy life.
That's
just
awesome.
Be happy.
And now to see it's paying off. You're a college football player. That's got to be pretty surreal, huh?
Yeah, just, you know, the dreams. I know a lot of my teammates, everybody around me, you know, we've always had dreams of becoming a Division I athlete, and you just can't take these moments for granted. You know, it's a lot of people that will die to be in the shoes that we are in, so I feel as if we got to take opportunity to the fullest and live every moment to the fullest.
Well, was it kind of a no-brainer when NDSU came into the picture, or not so much? How would you describe that recruiting process?
Oh yeah, as soon as, you know, Hedberg gave me the text and asked me to go on a junior day, you know, I was praying that I one day get an offer, and the day that I got an offer, you know, I knew this is the place that I want to be, and this place felt like home. So being able to uphold that first commitment and being the first commitment in my class, I really just, this place holds a special, North Dakota really holds a special place in my heart, and being from somewhere that isn't North Dakota, but not being raised here, born here, but just the feeling that this place has given me is like, they're so welcoming and so warming that this place is so special, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Do you feel like now at this point, you've had a couple years, you put the work in, but you were behind some guys, and now, okay, do you feel like this is my year now? Is that something that goes through your head?
Yeah, it goes through my head, but at the same time, you know, it's just being humble and stay down and stay working and just keep going with your guys and making sure everybody in your room knows that we can all do this, and it's not one person better than the other. We're all a group and we're all in this together. So I feel as if just going to work every day with my brothers and keep getting better and better, and then once the season comes, the results will pay off, and then everyone will be able to see.
Being an FBS guy now, your reaction to that news when you first heard it, and what do you expect to see on a week-to-week basis?
You know, just very high competitiveness, high level, you know, just a 1-2 attitude, just going out there and wanting to be able to take every moment in, take every opportunity, and just, just go make plays. And I feel as everybody was just excited. This is a big moment for Bison history, and just being able to be the first year and be a part of this is something bigger than myself. And just like that, man, like the fans, the fan base, the people in Fargo of North, they've been waiting for this moment for so long, and being able to be the first generation of FBS level, why not go out there and give the fans what they want to see?
And I'm assuming the offense is going to bring that. What can we expect from the offense as a whole this year?
Just a lot of high level energy, fast football. We want to bring the physicality, and everybody on the offensive side, offense and defense, iron sharpens iron. So I feel as if we've been going on each day and competing and getting better with each other. And I just feel as if, once the season comes, the season will tell everybody what the story is.
Couple more for you. I feel like a lot of people, especially nationally, are overlooking Nathan because they just haven't seen him. How would you describe Nathan, a quarterback?
Just watch and see. That's all I got to tell you. He's a very gifted and talented quarterback, and I trust in two more than anybody trusts in two. And I think as a program, we trust in two, and wherever he brings us, that's where we'll go.
Having Mekhi in the room is kind of the veteran guy. What does he bring to everybody there?
Man, he just brings an uplifting spirit. Mekhi's a great guy. He always wants to see the best. He's always taking his time out to go out there his day, make sure, if there's releases, if there's routes, if there's things you need to get better on, he makes sure he takes the time out throughout his day to really help his get what they need. And it's just like you see that in him being a senior veteran and a leader in the group, and it's like, dang, like, Mekhi really shows what a Bison is supposed to be, and I feel as if people gravitate to him and people really want to, learn from him and be like, man, this is our leader, and let's go behind him and let's support him.
Last one, is there something Bison fans don't know about you? A fun fact that you could share at all?
Bison fans, I just want y'all to know, if you ever see me or come around me, just know you're going to have a great time.
Well, I was going to say, when I'm watching you at fall camp, you're the ¡1 supporter for these guys. Yeah, do you take pride in that?
Oh, yeah, I take pride in it big time, because I feel as if I'm always bring the energy and a high-level energy guy. I'm always smiling, always trying to put a smile on people's faces. And just, the Lord blessed me with a gift to be able to, go out there and just be a high-lifting, uplifting, motivating guy. So why not go out there and do that?
Great conversation with Isiah St. Romain, getting ready for his third season with North Dakota State. Time is flying this morning. Let's take a break. When we come back, get into our what to watch, and then we are out the door. Hot Mike returns after this. All right, let's motor through our what to watch to wrap up this Thursday morning. Tonight, Bison soccer makes a return. First game of the year up against Green Bay at Dakota Field. We will have the coverage for you on WDAY Extra. Kickoff is at 6 o'clock. Looking forward to the return of Bison soccer. We will also have them up against the Gophers on August 20th as well. Also happening tonight, we talked about it earlier, the Twins taking on the Phillies in the Field of Dreams game. You can only get to that on Netflix. 6:30 first pitch for that, Twins and the Phillies. Also some NFL preseason action. Detroit is in the mix today against Cincinnati, but we also have some games on the NFL Network that you can actually watch. Green Bay and Pittsburgh at 6 o'clock, Tennessee and San Francisco at 8 o'clock, both of those games on the NFL Network. My Colts are playing, too, against New England. I'll have to try to find a way to tune into that. Arizona is taking on Las Vegas, and also Los Angeles and Houston going at it today as well. And a reminder for you, coming up on Sunday is our Bison football preview show, part 1, with myself, Dom Izzo, Jeff Kolpak in part 1 of the show. You can catch it Sunday night on WDAY at 10:35, giving you a good start to the North Dakota State football season. That's coming up Sunday, 10:35. We'll have part 2 coming up next week with myself, Dom, and Kyle Emanuel will join us 1 week from Sunday. So just to put that on your radar. Should also mention the FedEx St. Jude Championship is going on right now as well. I'm amazed I didn't mention it earlier. Harris English is tied for the lead with Tommy Fleetwood at 4 under par, and Jordan Spieth, believe it or not, is right in the mix, tied for third at 3 under. He is through 12 holes. That'll go throughout the weekend. Top 50 advance throughout the next stretch there. All right, really fun morning, action-packed. Big thank you to Tommy Butler from Central Cast for joining us this morning, giving us the lowdown on the Central Cass Squirrels and the football team heading into this year. You'll catch more on the Squirrels in our fall camp tour with our WDAY sports department. That's going on throughout the next couple of weeks. Minnesota high school football starts on Monday. We'll get to some Minnesota high school teams as well. Big thank you to Alec Ausmus as well from KSTP for joining us, talking about the Kyler Murray, J.J. McCarthy situation and some other topics around Minnesota sports. And also Isiah St. Romain getting ready for year 3 with North Dakota State football. If you missed it, you can podcast it a little bit later on. Sam Getzinger joining you. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day and your weekend.